Alright, in this video I'm going to show how I've been making my own miniature cases for about $2 a piece that work for me. I would in no way recommend to use these instead of a highly tailored professional miniatures case for people carrying around huge armies or anything like that. I'm using these for board games and things like Shadespire, so relatively smallish amounts of miniatures. The preface being that I am very careful with my things, so this case is think of it like carrying a pizza. That's the way I do it. So I've got my board game and then I've got my case on top and everything stays sort of level, and I'm only moving it from, like, in the car from my house to my friend's house and just for long-term storage on the shelf. That all being said, I'm going to be demonstrating how to take a bin like this. This is a Sterilite bin, $1 at the grocery store, and take a piece of cardstock like this, about $1 at the same grocery store, excuse me, and then cutting and making a simple grid just like we used to do in kindergarten or arts and crafts, like this, slipping this inside of this like so, and there you go. It's enough to keep my miniatures from banging into each other or rubbing and chipping the paint. And like I said, carrying this, my lid on it, in the car, in a flat surface, this has worked perfectly fine for me so far. These are some of my Shadespire models that I'm a bit proud of, with of course Games Workshop's great tutorials on how to paint recently. So these are the nicest models I've ever produced, and I don't want them to get chipped. $2 case, keeping my stuff protected, and it's all I need currently. So today what I want to do, I've been meaning for a while, is my long-term project to Space Hulk. I think I want to use the actual Space Hulk box. I think I want to keep the miniatures in the box because it seems like they will fit quite nicely. Actually, I'm going to be copying almost exactly this as far as spacing. And then I'll put all the components into the Sterilite bin. And if that doesn't work out, I will have lost $1 and some time. But I also get to make this video and help save, hopefully, a few people quite a few dollars, so that's its own reward. So the way this works, if you've never done this before, basically we're going to be cutting slats, strips out of cardstock, and then we'll be cutting those strips, putting little notches in them, and then they kind of interlace together to form a grid. With Shadespire, I was giving myself at least 2 inches square per miniature. With Space Hulk, I want to try and see if I can squeeze a little bit more, because I think about 2 1/4 would be better. I don't want them too wide or else they'll be rolling around in there. Okay, so my ideal is to do a 5x8 grid, which would give me 40 slots, which should be a little bit more than I need. 16 divided by 8 is 2, so there's not much wiggle room. I mean, you might as well just do 2 inches. I would have 2 1/4 inches going this way, which is exactly what I wanted, but I don't have the real estate to go 2 1/4 this way. So I actually already did this one in 2-inch squares. I just thought it was going to be larger this time, so it would actually be faster to just use this. I only need 4 long strips. If it doesn't go all the way to the edge, I'll have some wiggle room on the sides, so I would be able to fit the longer miniatures in there. I'm not going to count the outer edge because there's already an outer edge spoken for, so it's -1 on each side. So if it's 8x5, all I need is 7x4 strips. So I need 4 long strips with 8 squares inside each. I'm going to cut this with a box knife. And here's another little side tip. I can't afford a proper cutting surface. For some reason they're really expensive. I mean, they're sure that it makes sense why they are, but you know what is not really expensive is a plastic regular cutting board for your kitchen. These, I don't know, maybe $5, $10 most. You can dedicate one of these to cutting with craft knives, and I've been more than satisfied. This one's a little small because it's actually the one I use for the kitchen. I haven't bought a dedicated one, so I'll have to move the paper along, but this totally works for what I've needed it to do. So, on with the cutting. I'm going to cut 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oops. Ran out of space. Alright, luckily it slipped right where it needed to. Oh, that's what she said. Those are my 4 long strips. Just double check my math. Okay, so yeah, it fits pretty much perfectly. So then I need 7 strips of 5 blocks. Just call me the Martha Stewart of miniatures. Don't call me that. I'm just gonna do some jigsaw Tetris style cutting here. Alright, then I'm just going to slice these long way. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then just double check that they fit. And they do. Got some wiggle room on the sides. So if there's too much wiggle room on the sides and it slides around, I'll just put some filler in there, so whatever I can find. So the next step is I'm going to cut notches along one edge of every one of these, along these lines, just over halfway deep. The reason I'm cutting just over halfway deep is that we have some wiggle room to make sure that they all go together all the way. So then when you slide them together, you just find the notch on each side, and there you go. And that's going to turn into our grid work. All of one size will be facing one direction as far as their openings, and all of the other direction will be facing the opposite direction. It's about 100 degrees here today, and I've mostly just had coffee today. A little bit shaky. In fact, I'm going to have more right now. Alright, now you build constructs. So I'm going to just put these ones facing up, put these ones facing down, start working that grid together. Once you've got a few in opposite directions, you got to kind of finesse these into place, but I think we're all capable of doing this. Unless you don't have any arms, and then you're excused. There it is. Okay, then moment of truth. Space hole box, and there it is. That'll at least give me enough real estate to my miniatures don't slam in and rubbing up against each other and chip. As long as I'm careful, I don't flip the box upside down, because otherwise then I'm doomed. I guess that's it. That's the end of this video. Thanks so much for watching, and hopefully, at least as a temporary solution, this helps somebody out there out. Thanks again.